Welcome to Lupo's Kitchen. If it's your first time here, we do oil-free vegan recipes to help you lose weight. Today we are doing one of our favorites, but it's actually a modification of something. I'm going to show you what here in a second, but we are making cornbread pancakes, and you can also use the same mix to make cornbread waffles. We're going to actually take a cornbread mix that's already done. Now you don't have to do this, but we find it's easier. This one is from Aldi's. It's called Live G-Free Cornbread Mix. And this one works really well because we can take the fat all the way out of it. And you can do this with any cornbread mix. We're going to show you how to add a couple substitutes and how to cook it so it doesn't burn and stick to everything. So if you're using some sort of mix, you're probably going to run into something like this where it says you need 1 egg, 3/4 cup of milk, and oh God, is that really a half cup of oil? A half cup of oil. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of fat and calories. We are going to substitute all that out to make this vegan, and we will show you. It comes out really delicious. We're making 2 batches here, so everything we show is for 2, which means there would have been a cup of oil in this entire
An entire cup of oil.
That calorie is insane. A cup of oil.
Think of that, what that does to your blood.
Oh.
Like, I have a stomachache
goodness.
thinking about it.
So, talk us through, because the first thing you're going to do is probably make the flaxseed egg. And we grind our own flaxseed so it's fresh and refrigerated. So how do they do this? How do you make a proper flaxseed egg? Because you've probably seen this, but if you don't set it up right, it doesn't work right.
So a flax egg is 1 tablespoon of flaxseed, ground flaxseed, to 3 tablespoons of water.
So we'll show you how that's done.
We're doing 2. And then it'd just be 6 tablespoons of water.
So we use filtered water if you can. Obviously use the filtered. Is this hot or cold water?
This is just cold. I think you use warm water with the egg replacer.
Yeah. So we've tried this different ways. I have used the Energy egg replacer, and it'll work, but I think the flax seeds taste better.
So sometimes the Energy, because it's a starch, it'll come out lumpy, and I just don't get it right. I just really like the flavor of the flaxseed. It's simpler and it's a whole food.
So we don't cook with oil, and this is the only fat that's going in the recipe of these ground seeds. And flaxseed is pretty, as far as like if you're going to have any sort of fat, this is a great choice. High in omega-3s. It's not that much compared to regular.
The oat milk actually does have a little fat.
Oh, I forgot about
oats
that.
are kind of fatty.
Yeah, oat can be kind of high in fat, but this particular brand's pretty low. It's
1.5 grams per cup.
That's it. So,
I mean, this is an amber food. We eat this maybe twice a month, maybe.
and we describe some of our foods. Yeah, this is a special treat food. We do not eat this for, every day for weight loss. This is something we did for like our daughter's birthday or a special Sunday. We kind of put things as green light, yellow light, red light. This is somewhere between yellow and amber. You could probably eat it 2 days a week and still stay on track.
I don't think it'll.
Kind of
I don't think you're gonna gain weight, but I think you stall out.
Yeah, you probably stall. You're not going to gain.
But we don't eat a lot of breads, though.
This is about the heaviest thing we will put on here. Besides, I think we have a recipe for a birthday cake to show you how to do it in case, hey, if someone's birthday's coming up and you don't want to go completely hog wild off track.
Yeah, you can make almost any cake mix vegan.
Yeah, and
fat-free.
Pretty close.
Fat.
Yeah, because you're still using the flax egg and the oat milk. So there's a little fat in here, but it's not
But
oil.
I mean, it feels like nothing compared to a cup of oil.
Yeah. And the fiber in the flaxseed helps you not get, oil bomb to your blood. Also, we're talking about, this is for an entire 2 batches, which will feed 3 of us
All
a
day.
few times.
Yeah, this is a lot.
This is a lot. So how long does this set up for? Because this is the secret. I never set my flaxseed eggs well. I just kind of stir it up and throw it in.
So we put it in and put a 15-minute timer on, go do whatever, and then come back and do it.
It'll turn into like a gelatin kind of glob. All right, so that's what we're going for.
But the 15 minutes is really important.
And that is where I have made lots of mistakes, is I got really antsy and pushed this and just was like, I'll just stir it in and throw it in. And it does not work right. So let this process happen. So you might be new to baking or cooking, so we're going to give you a quick little basic lesson. Lorelai's really good with batters and cake mixes and stuff, so give this basic advice.
So basic advice is whenever you're adding wet ingredients to dry ingredients, you make a well. So you dump your dry ingredients in. If you're making it from scratch, you mix it all up or sift it together or whatever, however you're doing it. And then you just dig a hole in it. Not too deep because you want the bottom to be on there. And all of your wet ingredients will be poured into the middle of the well.
Take a look at the calories for when it is dry mix and when you add the oils and the milk and the fats. You are looking at, compared to the servings, 10 grams. 10 grams for each serving. How many servings is that?
12.
12.
So 120 grams of fat.
For one box. We're doing 2. That's crazy. So that's a huge difference. And I know
240 grams of fat is that's like the fat we eat in a month.
yeah, that's really, we try to cut the fat down as low as we possibly can go. And some people have a problem with that because they'll be like, oh, you need some healthy fats to stay healthy. And it's like,
when you're fat, you don't.
Yeah, when you're overweight, you got plenty of fat. And one thing people forget is your body makes fat out of carbs. If you really need fat, you will make it out of sugar. No problem. Your body knows how to make fat. So it will release it into the blood. You do not need fat. And actually, if you have any sort of liquid fat that hits the blood, it coats the blood cells and it makes sugar uptake really hard. And that's the real cause of diabetes. It's not sugar. It's actually oil coating your cells.
Yeah, it's not the potato. It's the butter and bacon and cheese you put on it.
Because people will be like, you can't feed a diabetic nothing but rice and potatoes. Yeah, you absolutely can, and they'll do great if you don't add the other junk, the oils to it. So the oils what's give you sick, the oils will give you diabetes. It's just not in nature. Like, this is fine. You're grinding seeds up. You would find this in nature. Might not be quite,
It wouldn't be ground.
Yeah, go find cornbread mix in nature.
I was say you wouldn't be baking in nature either. But you're not gonna find a puddle of oil anywhere.
And we call this whole foods. Like, if you're confused because you might see plant-based whole foods everywhere and you didn't really know what it is, everything, all the ingredients of the nuts are still in here. We just ground them up. Or the seeds. Sorry, that's the seeds. So that's about it. We try to use as much whole foods as we can. Is there certain times we don't? Yeah, sometimes we cut a few corners of, like, the milk might not have all whole foods or the applesauce.
Although
we try.
This is pretty good. I think this one is just oats, water, and some cane sugar.
Yeah, and we try
vanilla.
to make our own stuff. We try to make our own milk. If we have apples, we try to make our own applesauce. But right now we are out of season. We don't have that stuff. So this is what's happening. And don't beat yourself up. There are people out there that are like, you have to have the highest organic of everything. And it's the big ones for weight loss and to be healthy is buy the ones that are least altered and really stay off the fake sugars. High fructose corn syrup will wreck your liver.
Yeah, this has
absolutely none.
This has no
sugar. So this is like
just apples.
Unsweetened. It's just apples. Now, are they organic, GMO free? Probably not. If I had the money, would it be? Sure. If I was super rich, I'd be buying all that stuff. But this will work. And the oats. We like to make our own oat milk. If I could have organic oats to make our own oat, yeah, that'd be awesome. But unless you guys are going to start donating us a lot of money on this channel, or we get millions of views,
we do what we can when we can,
and
we only really
don't
shop
beat
sales.
ourselves up. Yeah. So a lot of times in this channel, we really low budget cook, especially with the way inflation is right now. And it's funny that let me spin this around for this speech. That this kind of cooking is considered depression food cooking.
Yeah.
Like where vegans eat this way all the time.
Well,
but in some vegan hacks will really save you a lot of money. Like, what do you do when you can't get eggs? What do you do when you can't get milk?
Not just save you money, save you being able to make it.
Yeah.
Like, I know I watched all these cooking channels and watched the comments, and they're like, I can't even, or the prepper channels, they're like, I can't even find eggs. How am I going to make a birthday cake? How am I going to do this? There's a million ways, and they did this back in the Depression.
This is the way to do it. So it's not only healthier, it's cheaper usually, and it's more available. Because there's going to be a lot more shortages down the road. Right now it's stalling, where you're like, oh, I can get eggs, I can get everything, my store looks fine. For now. But the shortages are coming again in the fall.
And
you know.
We've seen it.
Just have this stuff on standby. Whoa. So it has been 15 minutes. We got time to rant about depression eating, but now we're going to show you this.
So there's a little bit of water on the top, but this down here is all like a gelatin, and I just stir it in.
Yeah, and that kind of does look like egg white a little bit around the edges. I can see
It is. It's goopy.
It's goopy like egg white. And again, this step's really important. Do not skip it, or you will be sorry.
Normally, if you were doing like a quick bread, like banana bread or zucchini bread, you would mix all your wet ingredients separately in another bowl and then pour it all in, but you don't have to with this.
Got it. This goes into the well.
It really is goopy. And then we have a cup of applesauce, because it calls for half a cup. We have double. It actually calls for a cup of oil, but you replace oil with applesauce.
So it's a half cup of oil a box. We're doing 2 boxes, so it's an entire cup.
And you can use cinnamon applesauce. I do that periodically, just because it kicks in a little extra cinnamon flavor.
Now, there's lots of different substitutions you can use for oil, but we seem to go to applesauce a lot. Do you like it the best with cooking?
I do, and it's not because it cooks any better. I just like the flavor.
Okay. So if they didn't have applesauce...
You can use a banana. There's other things I cannot remember off the top of my head.
We'll get back to you. I feel like you could use potato.
We'll do a whole video on all the substitutions you can do.
Yeah,
my two go-to are, because we always have applesauce and we always have bananas.
Yeah, we stock applesauce for this. So if you are prepping, you know, there's some basics like this. Buy it. Just add a couple dollar thing of applesauce every time you buy it, and it becomes really useful when you have to convert all your other food that you're like, oh, I need oil, and they're not selling oil anymore. You'll have plenty of applesauce. And it's healthier anyway. You don't want to be eating that junk while you're in a crisis situation and your stress is up.
And this is 3/4 of a cup for each one, so a cup and a half. And I just eyeball it.
All right.
I've been doing it long enough. I know what I'm doing.
Also, a lot of this stuff's pretty stable. If you can find applesauce in glass or cans, you know, that stuff lasts a lot longer than oil. Oil goes rancid pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, I love having the shelf-stable milk.
Yeah, that's been nice too.
It's really a lot easier. Like, my fridge isn't overloaded. And you can buy and stock it up for, you know, when you run out.
And again, if you have the time, money, and funds, you know, it's good to make your own stuff. Like, eventually we will probably start making our own oat milk, because it is a little cheaper to make our own for sure. But today we just felt like getting up and making this. And it is really, really good. But how do you know when you're done stirring it here? What are we looking for?
So, normally, you want to be really careful mixing anything. These are called quick breads, because you don't use a yeast to rise them. It's the baking soda and everything. Normally, you have to be really careful about mixing, and I would use probably a wire whisk, but because we're making pancakes with it, they don't rise nearly as much. We don't need them to turn into a cake.
Got it. So for people who've never done this kind of baking, this is not like a dough where you mix it up and put it in the fridge for a while. You're supposed to use this pretty much right away, right?
Yeah.
If you don't, it just kind of hardens and...
And I don't know what dough you put in the fridge. Cookie dough you would put in the fridge.
Cookie dough we used to, and then certain breads.
This is a batter. I don't have any batter recipes that you put in the fridge. But there are some like sugar cookies.
I remember when I was a kid, the sugar cookies we put in there, and we'd go in and nibble on them, and I feel like.
But this is you just mix it and use it. Like once you get a bread mix or a cake mix wet, it has to be used, because it's just gonna go flat and turn into nothing. I mean, you can still make pancakes with it, but they're not gonna have any puff to them at all.
Right.
Because the rising agents have gone away after they only last so long. But it's mixed. Once it's not lumpy anymore, And when it's being made into like a cornbread, if you were making this into cornbread, you could leave it a little lumpy. It'll steam and bake in and it comes apart. This, I don't. And also gluten-free is a different beast.
It is. It is. Everything's weirder with gluten-free. And now you don't, if you're not gluten-free, you know, we do eat wheat. We try not to eat American wheat. We try to eat the organic wheat if we can get it, or we eat Italian wheat, like our pasta's Durham pasta. You know, that stuff doesn't seem to set us off. It's not too sprayed with chemicals.
Although I've really gone off of wheat pasta. I really like
but
the
I feel like
pastas.
we lose weight better and our digestion works better eating gluten-free.
Yep.
Period, even though we don't really have a reaction. I
think wheat is just gummy.
I used to be horribly allergic to wheat, and I thought that I had celiac, or I thought I couldn't, you know, I had to live gluten-free. And
it wasn't really a gluten intolerance, it was a chemical.
It was American wheat, because I could go overseas. I went to China and ate everything there, and it's no problem. You know, so it was what they're doing to the, I think it's the glyphosate, the Roundup stuff they're spraying on everything. So
yep.
That is the problem, and you're better off just running gluten-free. So I can eat all this stuff now. Also, a big thing we keep going back to, and even though I shouldn't show you this because it's so messy, we brew our own kombucha right here, and that stuff has been a miracle for healing my gut lining. I can pretty much eat whatever I want now, getting my biome straight. It's also good if you are true vegan where you're not getting enough B12. This has bacteria and yeast, both which have B12 in it, and you end up drinking some. And it's a great source. I don't have to really worry about my B12 if I'm drinking this stuff. The batter's done, and you've got two ways probably three ways you can cook it. The first is you can make waffles with this, but you have to have a specialized waffler, and you need a ceramic one. And they're very picky. You never want to use oil in these things, ever. As soon as you do, it kind of burns and ruins it. And you're going to also have that same with your nonstick pans too. Think of this thing like a nonstick pan. The big secret to this is you really got to let it get decent heat, but you don't want to go hot. You don't want to go to max. You just want it to really come up and let it sit for a bit. The first one needs to be really hot so it doesn't stick and burn. The easier way to do this is, I'm going to show you. What we normally do is make pancakes. And if you're cooking these without oil, you're not throwing, you know, butter in here or anything like that, you need a really decent nonstick pan. And you want to be careful that you're not going to buy one with Teflon and stuff that comes up and flakes, but you really have to baby these pans. Otherwise, within a few weeks, you'll be like, man, everything's sticking and burning. Or as soon as I run it through the dishwasher, it doesn't work anymore. You can't do that stuff with these nice stick pans. You have to baby these. You never really want to take them to full heat. You go to medium heat. So we're going to set this at about 6. So halfway, maybe a little more, a little less. Just going to have to judge it. And you're going to let this get really warm. The first one, otherwise you'll put it on and you'll get that mutant first pancake. You know, that everybody knows what I'm talking about. The first pancake's always a throwaway. You can avoid that if you let this get warm enough. Now, if something burns, like you pull this off and you'll have like burn marks, and this thing needs to look crystal clean. If there is any sort of burnt parts or stuck parts, you need to stop what you're doing. Take it while it's hot and wipe it out with a towel. Do not do anything else.
Dry towel.
Dry towel. Just kind of scrub it off and it'll come off while it's hot. If you miss that opportunity, you can put boiling water in it. Like put water in, bring it to a boil, pour the water out, and then scrub it with a towel, and it seems to come off. But you have to keep these things crystal clean or they just don't work right. We try to talk to you guys like you might just be beginning cooking and you don't know. This is kind of like a beginner's channel in a sense. You got to use a silicone spatula. If you don't, all things will break. Oh, sorry, this is not actually called a spatula. This is actually called a lifter. This is a silicone lifter.
I grew up with a turner.
A turner?
Pancake turner.
See, and I know this because I took home ec in school. I don't think they even teach that anymore. But home ec, and that's one of the only questions I ever missed, was I got in trouble because I called this a spatula. Everybody does it, so don't be sad. But it's actually called a turner or a lifter. Since we're learning about cooking, these are actual spatulas. And you'll also see the metal ones they use on cakes and stuff. But they're little blades. Sometimes spoons. Again, I know I'm preaching about pans and nonstick pans. And I think one of the things, and me included, for years I would buy these things and they would only last 3 or 4 months and they'd stop working.
Once
And
you
I
have
would,
any oil on it.
yeah, you can never use oil. So if your husband's coming in and is like, I'm going to cook chicken in this. No, you have a different pan for that. You don't use oil in these. It ruins the coating. And also the other thing is don't run them through the dishwasher ever. Or scrape
Now
it.
that one actually comes in and it's like dishwasher safe. They all say it.
They all say it. They don't believe it. Don't believe the hype. Like Public Enemy. So the easiest way I do this is I use a ladle. It keeps the mess down. I put it down. This is kind of hard with the camera. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually spread it out as it's cooking. Kind of ladle it down. Thin it out to a pancake. And then just watch. Try to do that. Dang it. This is really hard with one hand. Okay. And you're going to give it some time because you're going to be real tempted to flip it. Don't take the bait.
Yeah, you're the worst.
Don't take the bait. It's pressure. Just sit there and watch. You'll see the edges start to harden and you can check it. It's really important that you give it some time. And this is also the first pancake, so let's see if we can do this. If we can walk the walk, or will we collapse this pancake when we take it out? Will it be the first mutant sacrifice pancake?
Just leave it alone and it'll be fine.
I want to touch it so bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know,
You're
when
the
you guys...
worst. You always mess with them and there's batter all over the spatula, all over the side of the bowl. Like, I don't know what happened. You know what happened.
Ran out of patience. It's hard. It's like when you're... gosh, there's so many things that you mess with before you should.
Is the paint dry? No.
The paint's the worst. I'm like, no, we could do another... No, we can't. All right, it's been about a minute and a half. I'm going to check the edges. And what you do is you kind of lean the pan up and get this all the way under and then flip it. Oh, and I went too long with it.
Oh, I went too far.
Went too long.
The
So
sugar's in this one.
this
like the
and
oats.
no, I had the heat up too high. It was on 7 instead of 6. So we'll probably try this again. We'll scrape it off and I'll probably have to clean the pan for a second.
And the dog will be oh so happy.
The dog will be thrilled to get the... Actually, we'll probably pick at it. I'm not going to lie. We'll try this again.
But not with that.
So here's kind of how it turned out. This was the sacrificial cake. We talked a good game, but I burned it. So we are going to show you what happens if you burn it. You see those little marks in there? Yeah, you can see them. How it's not shiny. We're going to actually wipe that out while it's hot. Be careful you don't burn your hand.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over this.
But that is the way to do it. And if you do this right away while it's hot between pancakes, it comes right out. And now usually you don't have to do this if you don't burn it, but if you do...
the sugars in there will keep burning on the pan and you'll get...
Yeah, because we make oat cakes that don't really have a lot of sugar at all, and we don't have this problem as much.
Yeah, this is way too hot.
Yeah, I got to turn this down. So, lesson learned, take it down to probably 4 to 5 with these. We're going to let it do it again here. Come back down the heat about 4 to 5. So we put this long content on because this is mistakes that you guys would make, and this is an easy way to learn.
I mean, I've been cooking these for 30 years and still making these mistakes. So.
Yeah, we've cooked up, there's a bunch, and I think this is important. Although, to be honest, let's taste it. How bad is it? Okay, it's delicious on the other side. This side maybe, this side's a little burnt, yeah. Okay, so we just pull that part off and nibble this. Like animals, we'll eat it with our hands. It's delicious. And my dog is ready. She is ready. This one's coming out better. And that is because when I scooped it, I didn't have to film, so I was able to use hands. I use this one, the spatula, to spread it. And then when I flip it, you compact it and squish it down. So if you take too long, this stuff will start getting puffy and rising. And just add a little more oat milk, would you say?
Yep.
just a little bit. But we're starting to get there now with these. You just have to figure out what the magic temperature is. So what's crazy about this mix is it is so good when it comes off that we don't put syrup, we don't put sugar, we don't put anything. We just eat it like animals, sometimes even with our hands. The cavemen.
And it's not just us. I mean, even our kid eats it. Like,
it's delicious. It's so good when it's piping hot. Oh man, that's good. There's going to be like one of those mukbang videos where we just sit around and eat a bunch of pancakes and go, oh, and smack our lips. Apparently that's a thing, but not anymore. I don't know. They're going out of style.
it's creepy.
I always thought it was creepy. So we thinned out the mix by adding another probably quarter cup of water. And it seems to be much easier to use, but let's see if it cooks right. We're getting better with this. So I think Lorelai has a theory that our stoves have been acting up. So we have the temperature all the way down to 4 now. So we're going to reset it and restart it. Because, you know, we're the kind of people that would have a cooking show with a stove that half works with a burner. This burner doesn't even work. And
But we don't ever use anything small, so it's not a big deal. Like, I never noticed that one doesn't work.
I feel like to share this is realistic cooking. Because people are going to try this at home and be like, man, I burnt 3 of them and they got wrecked and your stuff doesn't work. No, it works. You just gotta hone it in. So we're honing it in. So we've reset the heat to see if it was just an element because we're using some rinky, janky stove. So you pour this out and you try to keep it in one place so it stays together and just kind of stretch it out thin. Goes, and that's it.
Much easier with 2 hands, huh?
Yeah. Because this is so thick that it kind of needs a helping hand. And you were thinking to yourself, man, you know, if I just put a cup of oil in this, this would come right up. You're probably right, but you wouldn't lose any weight. When you flip it, sometimes there'll be squishy stuff on the edges. Just push it out, and it seems to really help it cook accurately and right. Depending on your oven, sometimes this will start to cook really fast. You'll kind of have to get under there and it'll be super squishy on top and you got to flip it. I promise it doesn't usually act like this and is this hard, but today, some reason when we decided to film, everything's going wrong.
And here's the thing though, for baking any batters and stuff, humidity really matters. And it is very humid today.
And I think we're using an old bat. Is this the old stuff or the new stuff?
I think this is the old stuff.
Yeah, I think that it does eventually age out. It's probably 2 years old, this batter. Maybe more. Okay, so we're done, but you're going to hear our cat screaming in the background because she's like in crazy heat right now. Look at her, rubbing my shoes and everything.
She'll get in your shoe in a minute.
She's still too young to fix. She's still like a little kitten, but you'll hear her. Anyway, back to this. Check it out. So we lost 1 pancake to the first pancake gods. We ate 3 of them, and this is about what it made. So it came out pretty good. Once you dial it in, and once in a, you know, I'd say probably like every other pancake, you have to take it off and wipe it, but you can get that down to like 5 seconds. Just keep it clean. You'll notice. It came out really good. If you're really paranoid about the fat, you could replace the flaxseed with egg replacer if you wanted. But we think the flaxseed works and tastes better. All right, so you have any other last words on this?
No, just...
That's it. You can eat them however you want. Oh, and again, if you're using the waffle iron instead, and you have a catastrophe or it sticks, do not use metal to pull it out, like a fork or something. We used to have a, I think we used a silicone, like a pasta grabber or something to pull it up.
Yeah.
Or we used I think we might have used a chopsticks once to get it out. I don't know. Anyway, it's a little harder. You got to be careful. Again, we have other recipes I'm going to show you that you don't have to babysit as much. But just goes to show we can cut the fat way down. These are delicious. Like, they are shockingly good.
So we get this from Aldi's.
Yeah.
And it's the Live G free, so it's all their gluten-free stuff.
That's it.
But it tastes like cake. It's good.
Yeah, these taste more like, corn cake, because it's corn cake. Well, it's cornbread, but
it's cornbread,
it
but
almost
this is
tastes
a
like
very sweet cornbread.
Yeah, it's delicious. And you got to live gangster free. Look at that. the G, the old school G. So that's about it with these pancakes. Takes a little finagling. You gotta dial it in. But then after that, you saw the stack we made. They are really, really good. Don't eat them all the time for weight loss because they still are kind of calorie heavy, but they're so much better than the original version that you're supposed to use on the box. And you can use this technique to convert just about anything. It'll work. A good nonstick pan is worth its weight in gold as far as these things go, but it'll let you just kind of have that real special, wow, we made, these awesome pancakes. And they are, I don't know how to describe it any better than that. They're just really good. They're delicious. If you like cornbread, they're like crispy on the outside and a little soft on the end. It's good. So please subscribe if you're interested. We're going to start doing a lot more longer videos like this. I'm going to cut back on the shorts because it's just more fun. I get to talk to you guys and we just get to BS with you, and pretty much what you see is real and what we're really talking about. We're going to keep this going, so you can subscribe or like or whatever. Honestly, I don't think it matters anymore on YouTube. But the best way to stay in touch with us is to join our Telegram group. The Telegram group, you'll be on top of whenever we do things, and sometimes we put stuff in Telegram we don't put on YouTube. So check it out, join our Telegram group. It'll be in the link in the description. Love you guys, hang in there.